Welcome to Viewpoints. I'm Heather Isvron, and with me today is Paul Fujimura, Assistant Administrator for Global Strategies at the Transportation Security Administration. Welcome, Paul.
Thanks very much, Heather. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Well, you're one of our most esteemed alumni here at Navy School.
I don't know about most
excited to have you back.
But I graduated in 1993 from the National Security Affairs curriculum in Asia Pacific, and it's my first time back. And it's a real pleasure. I mean, the school, I barely recognize it. It's grown so much, but it's a real treat to be here, so thank you. Thank you for the chance to be here.
Sure. No, we're glad to have you and talk about global strategies for TSA. So tell us about your mission.
So the Office of Global Strategy is comprised of about 300 transportation security professionals who are engaged in the primary mission of ensuring the international aviation system is as safe and secure as it can be. Our mission set focuses around three major areas. We identify, we analyze, and we mitigate risk from all the inbound last point departure airports to the United States. Let me unpack those ideas a little bit. So in terms of identifying, about half of our workforce are transportation security specialists based in 6 regional operation centers who perform assessments and inspections of last point departure airports. These are the airports like Charles de Gaulle that fly directly into the United States, and all the U.S. and foreign flag carriers that fly into the United States. And this is a statutory requirement. It's based in law that they carry out, and this effort helps us identify what's happening with those airlines, those air carriers, and at those last point departure airports. We take that information back, and this is the analyze piece. We have a group of risk management experts at TSA headquarters who pore over the foreign airport assessment reports and air carrier assessments, and they look at this and they really take apart what the vulnerabilities are that need to be worked on. And then the next phase is mitigation. In terms of mitigate, our efforts will focus on capacity development efforts, and it could be as simple as on-the-spot training to help correct some procedural miscues that are happening at a checkpoint in a foreign airport. But it could go from there to helping find funding to build a perimeter fence, or onward to helping a country develop new aviation security regulations, a whole national civil aviation security plan at the national level. To accomplish this, we have, again, I noted our regional operation centers. We have 6 of those around the world. We've got 28 TSA representatives based in embassies and consulates around the world. We've also got 18 international industry representatives who engage directly with the foreign carriers and the U.S. carriers for their international operations. We work together with all these stakeholders to develop really operable and sustainable solutions to close the vulnerabilities that have been identified.
And can you talk a little bit about the risk strategy of TSA? One of our alumni, Ken Fletcher, wrote a thesis about it actually that became a blueprint. And so we're curious how that works within the strategy.
Yeah, so we're very proud of Ken Fletcher at TSA. He's currently our Chief Risk Officer, and he is continuing to do some really great things for TSA in terms of risk and how the whole enterprise is thinking about risk as an agency at TSA. And on the international side, our job is to promote this risk-based approach around the world so that we're helping our international partners understand risk and work to buy down risk, to close those vulnerabilities that have been identified that are threats to their system. Our job is, again, to promote a risk-based, which is a clear-eyed, very factually based analytical approach to looking at your situation, and then taking steps that are effective and meaningful and sustainable to close those vulnerabilities and close those gaps so the system can't be exploited.
I really like what you say about the calculated risk versus what a lot of people think risk is, which is taking a chance.
Right. So many people think a risk-based approach is like taking your chances, laying your money down and gambling. No. Risk-based security is very much the opposite. It's based on a calculus. It's based on a risk score. It's based upon assessment. And again, clear-eyed thinking about what's happening and what you can do in a meaningful and sustainable way to close those vulnerabilities. So yes, very much. It's not gambling. It's not taking chances. Risk is a very thoughtful and calculated approach to aviation security.
So let's talk about opportunities, the things that you are doing, currently working on, and that are helping international partners, but also the private sector.
Sure. That's an area of a lot of interest from our international partners. So recent events, recent tragic events, whether it be the Dalo Airlines crash or even the Metrojet crash. So even though we don't know officially, the investigation hasn't been complete, there's a lot of concern that these were related to some sort of terrorist event. So these actually provide a lot of motivation for our international partners to do a clear-eyed assessment of their own system, to look at their vulnerabilities and work to close them. We at TSA, we're going to be there to meet them in that effort. It's a very much of a true statement that while any attack on the international system is going to have an impact on all of us, especially if that loss of an aircraft is caused by terrorist activities. That for sure is going to have a huge impact on the international aviation system, which is critical to just about everybody's economic well-being. So again, starting from that position, that proposition that an attack or an assault on the aviation system is going to be impactful on everybody, there's a lot of motivation in the international community now to take action against this threat.
What are you doing with the private sector partners and the opportunities there?
Private sector has a very critical role to play. You know, I start with the explanation that we all have the same goal. Everybody wants to ensure that the system is secure, that people get to where they need to go safely and securely. But we may have different motivators, different reward systems, different bases, starting places. But again, as long as we focus on the shared goal, which is again the security of the system and getting people to where they need to go safely, we find a lot of common ground. And the air carriers around the world, it's their medal. They have a very much of a vested interest in making sure things go smoothly, safely, and securely. And we're engaging, we have 18 international industry representatives who engage these foreign carriers and the U.S. aircraft operators to make them our partners in this effort. And they're great partners. Mm-hmm. We work together very closely, and the communication is on a daily basis. There's a lot of opportunity there to do more, of course, but we're starting from a very solid foundation of partnership.
So let's talk about opportunities and mutual recognition.
Sure. As I mentioned, all of our stakeholders have the same goal. The ability for people and goods to use the international aviation system safely, securely, and efficiently. So with that shared goal follows on a shared approach. It's a natural, logical follow-on, and that we're working with our international partners and stakeholders on a shared approach. For instance, in aviation air cargo security, we're working on mutual recognition regimes with about 40 different countries to ensure that cargo moves much more efficiently through the system, but also securely, mm-hmm. that meets everybody's standards, that it be screened, that it move through effectively and efficiently as quickly as possible. And that is saving our shippers and our businesses a lot of money, but also it's moving things through much more quickly.
And you talked, it sounds like more the consistency is going up and up. So.
Absolutely. You know, consistency for the traveling public is a goal for TSA. We want to ensure that the traveling public, when they go to the airport, experiences some level of consistency. That said, behind the scenes, we're working to ensure that our layers of security are as varied as they ever were. In fact, we're bringing new capabilities that may be seen or not seen, so that we're ensuring the safety and security of the system.
That's great. And so tell me about your priorities and what you're looking forward to over the next few years.
So we're really at an inflection point in terms of the aviation security threat. So what we have are, we've shifted away from a system that was centrally directed, planned, and executed to a threat picture where we have a lot of new actors. So I'm thinking Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram, ISIS, putting out information, inspiring attacks, supporting it with information through social media, but using operatives who may have been recruited from afar through social media. And so what we're seeing is a much more dynamic threat environment. But this also presents an opportunity because our partners understand this as well. They see this. And especially in Europe, especially in Africa and the Middle East, our partners are very much aware of the threat. They're very much aware of this trend and this dynamic, this change, this evolution in the terrorist threat. And they're evolving with us. We're moving them along. And one of the reasons I'm here is to engage with CHUDS, the Center for Homeland Defense and Security, to help us advance our thinking on how do we keep evolving, what directions do we need to go in, what's the next kind of disruptive technology, disruptive process, disruptive strategy that we can employ to evolve faster than the terrorist threat. It's a very exciting time in terms of how we're thinking about aviation security.
Well, the evolution of technology has been growing, and it seems that at such a pace it's hard to keep up.
Absolutely. You know, when we think about where we were even 20 years ago with cell phone technology, much less smartphones, and how it's advanced to where we are now, we know that there's going to be continual leaps, quantum leaps in technological capability, how we fund it, how we decide to buy it, and how we acquire it. Okay, so those are the things that a lot of policy folks in Washington have to work on still. But the thinking and how do we bring together suites of technology and processes and people, that's going to happen in places like the Center for Homeland Defense and Security.
It is. Education turns out to be pretty important when you're talking about critical thinking and
new
innovation.
Ways of thinking and finding new solutions that aren't readily apparent now, but bringing together new combinations of people, ideas, technologies can yield incredible benefits. And we're looking at, and that's actually probably the biggest opportunity that we're looking at right now is, again, what's the next quantum leap forward in terms of aviation security? How do we bring together new combinations of people, process, and technology to get a secure outcome, an efficient outcome, but an effective outcome? And there's a lot of opportunity there.
We appreciate your time today, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. It's been fun, and it's been a real pleasure to be here. Thanks very much for your time, Heather.